To another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I'm talking with my friend Mike, who's also known as Mr. E. Mann on Twitter. His actual Twitter handle is Not Buying This BS. I have a link to his Twitter down below, so go and follow him if you want to see some great posts and stuff like that. Because I've been following you for over a year now, I think, Mike.
A while, yeah. It's been quite a while. Yeah.
And we talked about a little bit about doing this a little while ago, and you finally caved. So I've got you on here for today. And Mike, what I usually do on these shows, as you probably know already, is I talk to people about how they left their faith and their religion and the journeys that took them to where they are today, you know, including stuff like how it affected friends, family, and how that in turn affected you and your relationships and stuff. So I'll let you take it away, and just remember that I'll probably jump in with something ridiculous to say at some point.
Sure. I think I don't think my story is probably a whole lot different than a lot of people, but I in a broad overview and breakdown, I was religious, then wasn't religious, then I was religious, then I wasn't.
Oh yeah.
So it's like in and out and in and out. So as a kid, I had kind of a both in the family. My mother was Episcopalian, and my father was an atheist. So
interesting. How did that work out? I mean, did they often fight about stuff, or
no? They really didn't.
Oh, okay.
They don't. I don't remember them.
Taboo topic, or
yeah, I don't remember them fighting about it. I mean, it didn't come up that much. And the only reason I say my father was an atheist, but I don't remember him ever saying very much about it. And my mom wasn't pushy about hers, and she had some really difficult experiences with her religion. And so the one thing I remember my dad saying was, we moved to Oklahoma at one point when I was in 6th grade, I believe, and we moved into the middle of the Bible Belt in this little tiny town, and we had been trying to find a house, and we moved into this place on a Saturday, and we were up till late, unpacking and doing whatever. And 6 o'clock Sunday morning, knock on the door. And it was the church bus come to pick the kids up to go to church, because everybody goes to church, because that's just
church bus. Wow.
Literally, they didn't ask. They just showed up and said, we're here to, take the kids. And my dad walked out the porch and said, so you believe in God, huh? And they said, yeah. And he says, if you don't get off my porch, you're going to meet him. So
prematurely.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah, it was quite interesting. So other than that, I don't remember him saying much about it. It wasn't. It wasn't a big topic,
right?
With the family. So we actually went though, and we went to church. And I remember going to different places, and I remember taking communion one time for no apparent reason, because they were, I hadn't even been baptized or anything, and they were like, I guess this is what you do. You go up and take communion. And so it was a really strange experience for me. So that was just kind of the off and on, where it was there, but not really thought about it. Like I said, I was young. So you go to the high school years, and then it was cool to just like not believe in God. It was like, no, yeah, those that stupid religion. But it was just more of a rebellious, not thinking about it.
Right. What is when you were doing the communion? What exactly could you describe what Jesus tastes like?
Bland, dry, and boring. That's pretty much that's about the sum of it. Yeah. But hey, you got a little bit of wine. It was actually wine, not grape juice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the church actually had real wine, so that was quite. I guess that was
the kids drunk.
Yeah, exciting for the 5th grader, or 6th grader. So.
Yeah. Look at me, I'm an adult now.
Right. Yeah, and I think I always had little questions about it. I think there were, it was always something in my mind where I was like, things didn't add up, but typical, I think, for the way the human brain works, I didn't really question those. They were there, but it was just like, yeah, but it has to be true. I think the best way to describe it is I was an argumentum ad populum atheist. Everybody else believes it, so it has to be true, right? I mean, how can all of these people that I respect, these grown-ups,
people you trust, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So how do you deny that, And I didn't have course, they don't teach critical thinking, and they don't teach that kind of thing, especially when you're in the Bible Belt. So, that was also around the time when I started my drinking problems. And we were talking a little bit earlier before we started this, that I was, I started drinking at a very early age. And I was 10 or 11 when I had my first beer, and I was getting seriously drunk by the time I was 13 and 14 years old, which progressed quickly into much heavier drinking and other use. So that all, I think that led into a lot of it. I've always been artistic. I'm a musician, a poet. I like creativity, right? And so that was that other part of it. Where does this come from, right? There just has to be like some magical spiritual thing, and that was, that was reinforced for me as I went along, because I went through all the school and like I said, doing that, still just partying, doing crazy, but not really believing stuff. But then I went into the Army, did that, and everything kind of collapsed. And when I got sober, I think AA, as much as I hate to it saved my life. Okay. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I was on the path to destruction, right? Sure. But there was that whole spiritual God component, right? And then when you get sober, there's this other kind of the pink cloud of sobriety, right? And with that, for me, came this new, I've got to find my meaning in life and my purpose, and I found a book by a guy named Hazrat Inyat Khan, who's actually a Sufi, and it's like the sound and mysticism of music or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that just had to be it. I was like, that's what playing music is. It's like channeling God, and it's just,
I don't get that whenever I play, but okay.
Well, do you write?
I don't write a lot of the music. I have a hand in that, but most of my writing is the lyrics. Okay. Because I'm the vocalist, right? So I don't really play anything in the band either, although I can dick around on some instruments, but I'm by no means a great player or anything. That's why I have great players to play with. So
hey, that's okay. Yeah. No, but see, for me, I create from a place of just like kind of letting it go, and stuff comes out of nowhere, quote unquote, right? And so to me, that was this spiritual moving experience of like, where is this coming from, and this whole, and so it's supporting all the rest of this. And then there was a jazz player that I really like named Kenny Werner, and he wrote this book that was just, he puts out these great albums. I still listen to him, but he made some really funny points, but he's like, you have to just let go and go into the, the whole new age stream of, tying into the energy of the universe. He goes, just drop your hands on the piano and just see what comes out, and then just let it go. And, but I could do that. Do that. Right. Awesome. I literally improvise and do stuff like that. So to me, then it had to have, it goes back to giving yourself no credit. Right. It wasn't me. This had to be like some divine intervention who's working through me. I don't know where all that stuff comes from, but it comes from reading books like that, and it's sad, right? Because because I can do that, but I wouldn't give myself credit for that. Right. It always has to be like, that's somebody else. This is too special, as it were. So
yeah, it's like you're sort of giving the credit for what you've actually accomplished to somebody else, because you don't feel like you were capable of doing it.
Right. And that's religion in a nutshell.
Exactly.
In a way, it really is. It's like taking away credit. And it's like, and it gets fed, right? We don't have pride. You can't have pride in something you do because that's a sin or whatever. And so everything feeds into it. It's really kind of,
creepy.
It is creepy. That's, but it's funny how it feels that way, so that led me into this whole, that's when I really dug in. I went in hard, because I was like, there has to be a God. I had reasons, from getting sober and whatever, that I wanted there to be one. I just
Right.
there, and it was like this need, like I really want there to be one, you know. And so I went on that search, and of course, you know, Christianity is the, you know, is the one that's close to home. If you know, if I'd have been somewhere else, I'd have picked something else.
Sure.
And I really started. I don't know. I really started digging into it, and it was funny because I think there was a lot of, because of the spiritual aspect of it, kind of a lot of new age kind of things flowed into it, which was actually good for me in the long run because it ended up being why I got out.
Mhm.
Because I started, I was like, at one time I was like, I want to be ordained. I want it because I just really have to do this. I was just like this calling. I still don't know why. Didn't have a good reason for it, but that was just like what I had to do. And I had these friends who were full on just God is everywhere, God is everything. All religions are like the right, and they're whatever. They're just different ways of expressing the same blah, blah, blah. And I became their, I don't know what you'd call it, but I was their confirmation bias guy. Because I would go do the research. I did not understand at the time what confirmation bias was, because I was the guy who could go on the web and I would pull up these books. I had bookshelves full of every spiritual book you could imagine, from Bibles to Qurans to Bhagavad Gita to just. And
I've got copies of all those myself.
Yeah. Well, sadly enough, I sold all mine when I finally gave up. I took them all down to a used bookstore and dumped them. Thousands of dollars worth of books. I regret it to this day because I shouldn't have. But I was that guy. They would ask me.
Maybe you helped somebody else.
Although, you know, or the opposite could be true.
Maybe you trapped somebody else.
Right. Yeah. You get trapped in the cycle. Yeah. But as all this is going on, it was funny. They would come to me with like, well, why do you think that this, or why do you think that? And there were never specific questions about the Bible like we ask nowadays, like not like we ask on Twitter, like, how the hell did you get all those animals on the ark? You know, nobody was asking those questions. You know, what's the spiritual meaning? I stubbed my toe. What's the spiritual meaning of that? You know, that kind of.
You walk around in the dark and that's going to happen.
Right. But so I was that guy in this information thing, and it was so funny. So I just would dig deeper and deeper and deeper. But as I dug, I started to see, well, this is BS, and well, that can't possibly be true, and well, that can't be true. But I still was tied to the fact that there's a thread. Why do all of these people think there's a God? Right? Why do all of them do that? And so I was like, even if all this stuff is, this is obviously just a man-made junk right here. Mm. Then I'm going to strip all that away, and I'll find that common thread that's amongst all of these religions, right? And so that was what I started digging for, and that's when I started sitting Buddhism. I did Zen Buddhism, and I sat Zazen for almost 5 years. Now, because you could do that, and it didn't matter what your religious faith was, because they're essentially atheists. But I'm just trying to open up, because I there had to be this truth, and that's the funny part, because that's what led me out. Mm-hmm. Was trying to find that thread, and the more, as I say, it's like you keep pulling those threads, and then the whole the whole sweater unravels, and there's nothing left. Right?
You're naked on the floor, like like what's their name? What's his name sings there in that song by that band? I can't remember. The sweater song from. Come on, somebody in the chat, help me out. That sweater tune they live in Hollywood. They always have the Beverly Hills song and the Buddy Holly song, and come on.
I don't know. That's terrible. I don't know.
Like just like Buddy Holly. Weezer. Thank you, IQ. See, I got people for this. When my memory fails, my friends' memories don't.
Right. Well, yeah, and it was interesting because the more that led into, the more I stepped out of what I called organized religion. You know what I mean? Where it was just like, oh, this is BS, and so then it became this kind of new age group. And I don't know if you've ever gone on my blog, but I wrote a little piece that it was hard to put out there. It was embarrassing because I actually stepped into the world of quote unquote energy, spiritual healing. I did it. I made money. I made money. I was, full on.
Are you, hang on a second here. I'm having issues again. I have a friend who lives here locally, and she was a guru for many, many years. Mm-hmm. But she's out of it now. And actually, she's just in the midst of filming a movie all about that and how she ended up out of it. It's just her name is not coming to me off the top of my head. But anyway, it'll come to me at some point.
That's okay. Is she on Twitter or just a friend of yours locally?
Oh, she's on. Well, I met her, I think, through Facebook. Okay. So she is on Facebook. And she was a guru, and she used to go around and like hundreds and thousands of people would watch her and talk about crystals and pyramid healing and all that shit, right? Yep. So, and I was into that too for a long time, right? But once I actually got back, we'll say, into chemistry and took my courses and schooling and stuff like that, you realize that it's just horseshit, right? So
this stuff that's not right here. This doesn't fit.
Exactly.
And that's funny because that's what started happening is like I started kind of like. But mine, it was terrible because you can make an excuse for everything. Because I'd become an electrician. I'd been a musician and into music my whole life, and so I knew all about this energy and vibration and music, right? And so I literally started my own thing with tuning forks and basically doing acupuncture with tuning forks instead of needles.
Wow! And
I just kind of created my own thing and just went. And I mean, I wish I could go give everybody the money back that I took but the sad part is it was not dishonest. I wasn't intentionally going, well, this is BS, but I'm going to make money. That was never my thing, which is why I have a little bit of compassion for people that are still under that, because of course there are hucksters that are doing it and they know absolutely that it's BS, right? That it's just total. But there's a lot of them that don't. They really believe what they're doing is like.
Yeah, that's what her case was as well.
Yeah. I mean, once I realized what it was, then I have my ethics are too strong to continue doing it. But I started just running into these cases. And have you ever heard of those, the little foot baths? They're ridiculous. You put your feet in here and there are these cleansing, the liver cleansing foot. Yeah. Well, my girlfriend at the time was this energy healer, and she brought one of these home. She goes, "This thing's amazing. Look." And she had me sit down, and you put your feet in, and then water turned just nasty, just gross. And she's like, "Yeah, that's all the stuff that's pulling out of your body." And I was like,
"Yeah, no.
Really? out of my feet?" And so I said, "Well, let's try something." And she's like, "What do you want to do?" And so I took it and we cleaned it out and refilled it and didn't put any feet in it. And it turned the same nasty, funky, gunky. I was like, what's it cleansing? And she, of course, was like, "Oh, there's probably bad energy in this room. It's probably," I was like, there's always an excuse. And I'm like, "No, this doesn't work. This is BS." And so there was a lot of stuff like that I started questioning things. And then I would start getting into arguments with her cohorts. There was this whole crew of them and these angel communicators and every possible thing you can imagine. And I would start questioning them because I'm like, I realize there's a trap, right? I'm the healer, and I tell you, if you meditate just so and so and breathe just right, you're going to see this blue flame, right?
Yeah.
Hey. Oh wow, that was weird. My computer decided it was going to sleep, like it doesn't know I'm doing something. Sorry.
That's bizarre.
It's just it's screen right now. So I started realizing. I said, "Look, you set them up in a trap, because no matter what, they'll do what you told them to do. And if they don't see the blue flame, it's their fault because they didn't do it right." And that's, again, there's religion in a nutshell. It's always your fault,
Right.
and it's like, here's the setup and here's the thing and here's the expected result. And no matter what, and so I got into a big kind of row with this guy because I was like, that's just, I still wasn't denying that there was something, but I was saying, you're wrong. And you're trapping these people into a little cycle. And, I don't know. So that started the whole thing to where it was like more and more and more and breaking out. And I think the final, I ended up, it's funny because I think I was thinking about that. I was one day sitting out on the back porch and we're looking out at this yard and they're like, look at this. Isn't this beautiful? This is God's plan. And I said, no, this is your plan. You mowed the yard and planted the planters around the trees and everything. And I said, there was a big field next door with all overgrown with weeds. I said, if there's a God, that's God's plan.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and they got mad. They're like, no, that's. So it slowly kind of, everything just started breaking apart. And it was actually, I'm simplifying this, of course, because, I'm going forever, but it was one of the most painful experiences of my life.
Yeah.
Because to me, I wanted it to be so true and it wasn't. And it was just devastating because I had to look at myself, right, and start realizing some of the things that I believed that were just wrong, just flat out wrong. And I had been telling other people and I pushed my bullshit on other people. And it was painful. The introspection that it took for me to get out was just, I mean, I was literally, and I'm saying literally using the word correctly, suicidal, because I ended up in a hospital.
Wow.
Because it was so, I was like, what's the meaning of anything? This is all just, I lost it. My whole life was just collapsed.
Wow.
And it was a really, really painful thing. And so I'm always careful about talking to people about how they deconvert, because I understand what a powerful thing that is in people's lives, right?
Yes, it can be. I hear stories that are on both sides. Like, it's tragic, and then there's ones where they tell me that they had such a feeling of relief and like weights were lifted.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't one of those. I was in a painful situation. It was hard for me because I really wanted it, and I still to this day don't know why so much that I wanted it to be true, I guess. But it was a very, very difficult time because I went into this hole of, and it was all introspection though, because I was following the kind of Buddhist mantras of like breaking the self down and realizing what's, and you really do when you start realizing what's not you and what's your stuff, and it just becomes this, it was a painful but worthwhile exercise. I don't regret going through it, at all, but I don't know that I would wish it on a lot of people, because our cameras are backwards. When I look at you, I'm looking the other way.
I know
right now. Yeah, it's funny. I was just realizing, I was like, I've been looking at the screen.
However, as backwards as they are, which is weird because Hangouts was the opposite. Now at least you can read my shirt as if it's
because
normally.
It's not.
Yeah.
I have one. I should have put mine on. Mine says, what was it? Anyway, I have a science shirt that's similar to that. I can't remember what it is. The t-shirt one.
Mine says science. It doesn't care what you believe.
I think that might be the same one I have. I don't know. It might be the same one.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
and I do remember that lady's name. Her name is Jessica Schaub, and she was
C-H.
Schaub. S-C-H.
Oh, Schaub. Okay.
Schaub, yeah. She was a big time guru and traveled around and stuff. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. She regrets a lot of what she did too. So.
Yeah,
because potential harm to people, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Well, and leading people into places where they shouldn't be in. And I saw, I have no, at this point, I have zero tolerance for healers, that kind of a thing, because I saw the worst side of that. My girlfriend at the time did every kind of energy healing you could imagine. Started off, of course, as a massage therapist, and then it turned into all stuff. But she actually told this lady that her meds that she was taking for her psych stuff were blocking her from from becoming enlightened and everything else. And told her she needed to get off of those meds and she would be fine and she would take care of it. Was probably 2 weeks, 10 days. It just totally unconscionable. And 2 weeks or 10 days later, that lady tried to burn down her house with her family in it and then tried to commit suicide. And I had to go over to that house and help clean up, so I saw very firsthand how dangerous that can be, and just the bad information that gets out there, because I call New Age like weaponized spirituality, because everything, they act like they're all lovey-dovey and everything, but when you step back and look at it, it's all fear and danger, and because everything's dangerous and Mars is in retrograde and everyone's going to be angry today, and it doesn't matter what it is, everything's poisonous, and they're anti-vaxxers and the government's trying to kill you, and they can actually cure cancer but they don't wanna, and
I hear that one a lot.
Yeah, and they live.
And I'm like, which one of the hundreds of types of cancers are you referring to?
Which cancer would that be? And so
these people are dangerous.
They are, and it's terrible, and so it's just like this. So I don't cut anybody any slack on that. On that one, I'm like, nope, nope, no slack, none. You're wrong, and you need to get it fixed. And I know a lot of times it's not gonna. I don't know if it's gonna get through because it's so harsh that they're gonna probably back away. But
I tried, and the person stopped following me.
Right. I've actually lost followers on Twitter who were like, they're atheists, but they still believed in this or that or some other thing. And I'm like, wait, you realize that one of them was one of the ones who actually believed in the whole Pizzagate thing.
Oh, really?
And I was like, what? I thought they were just trolling, and they were dead serious. I was like, wow, I'm not even going to block you. I'm not even just going to unfollow. You go away. I don't want you on my team. So yeah, and the interesting part is I never debated with anybody, right? I never read Hitchens, Dawkins, Harris. None of them. They were like, I found my way out because everything broke down around me. But there was not a book that was like, oh, this will be the one that'll fix it all. It's like, no. Right. I read them later, and I got partway through them, and I'm like, boring. Don't need them. Don't care.
Yeah.
It's like reading a book on like, it's like, oh, cool. How to walk? Put one foot in front of the other. Okay, yeah, got it.
Wear good, comfortable footwear.
Yeah. So it's funny. So I never read any of those guys and into the stuff, and when I got on Twitter, I didn't get on Twitter to argue about religion at all. I got on there for what's that? However, I got on there because there were soccer teams that I followed and some stuff, and so I could kind of get updates and stuff. And I didn't use it much. And then somebody not from my work, but somebody quit that worked at the company I did. And somebody said, oh, man, you should see what they posted on Twitter. I mean, not only that, they took like some employee lists and pictures and posted them up. And they started this whole thread about my company, not my company, but the company I work for. And it was horrendous. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, we're talking just like criminal level accusations and stuff. They were just, and they're horrendous. They were calling the owner of the company like this, that he was some sort of a pedophile and he was hiding.
Oh, wow.
It was bad. So I had to go see, and I went and I started fighting with this guy. And then I found out what Twitter trolls were really quick. I was like, whoa, and I got bombed. And I remember this one very specific person. And I wish I could find him now, because that's when I realized you could actually use Twitter to communicate, and you got attention on Twitter, I guess, because that's not what I used it for. I just kind of went on and looked at a few things. And this person had some angel in their thing, and they made some comment about, God, something or else was going to get the owner of the company, something. And I went, And I went, well, I'm like, you believe in some nonsense thing, but I've made some comments in them like that. And I got like 10 likes. I was like, what? What? People actually like that? I'm allowed to say that. You know what I mean? It was like, and it was really interesting. And I was like, okay, you know? And so I followed a couple started looking at the
Time
people
to do some work.
Well, I looked at some of the people who I like, who liked what I did. And it was just interesting. I was like, there's people who actually like are open about this because I wasn't.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't
okay.
talk. I wasn't. I still can't be open about it at work. I am with some of my coworkers. I am because like one of my coworkers is an atheist, and we talk about it, and kind of laugh about stuff. But one of my upper bosses, one of his favorite things to say at some of his meetings is, "I'm not worried about this. Jesus has my back."
Oh,
so
you're all like, good job, buddy.
and technically he couldn't fire me if I said that I didn't believe that, but my life wouldn't be. He could make it miserable.
Yeah.
And probably would. It's Texas after all, and there's a whole I'm outnumbered.
Yeah. So whereabouts are you in Texas?
Austin, Texas.
Are you? Dude, yeah. Why didn't we hang out when I was down there?
I messaged you, and I guess you missed it. You were in town, and I said, yeah, you were, because I saw that you were in town. And I'm like, hey, man, let's meet up. I'll take you to breakfast, or I'll take you to lunch somewhere, read your stuff. And I don't know, somehow we crossed paths because I saw a bunch of you guys were down here. Yeah, I know. I was, and I should have gone down because I think you all went down to
the ACA.
To ACA, and I should have just gone down there and I run into you guys.
Oh, yeah, you would have.
Yeah.
I would have probably moved out of the way so you didn't actually run me over, but
right, but we're trying not to.
Yeah. There he is, fucker.
So, yeah, but I mean, so really, that's kind of funny. So, Twitter ended up being a really, really good place to like start, feeling that out, and and kind of codifying your arguments a little bit, getting everything to like really kind of, and because when you don't actually voice them, I think and that's how I would have been. Wow, I've been on Twitter for 7-8 years now, I guess. I think I would have been as bad as a creationist with well, you're just dumb because you don't, I mean, no real arguments or anything. And what it led me to was I still kept asking the question, why do people believe? Right. And why do so many people believe, which led me into the whole evolutionary biology, the fact of where it's an adaptive survival mechanism, and where, and because I had to have an answer for why, because I was still out there, even though I'm like, I know this is bullshit and it's not true. Why? Right. And I actually, and so that kind of led me to just to really what I guess that's the fascinating part of what I learned. That's what Twitter did for me. It hooked me up with people that were really intelligent and, had their arguments together and knew what they were talking about. And you could find some, and I've gotten to interact with people with degrees and things that I never would have, who would recommend books or recommend reading and recommend this. And
it's one of the things I love about it.
Yeah. It's like going to school with people from all over the world that you would never have a chance to meet.
That's right.
And so it's been, that's been amazing. That's been amazing because I have spent literally the last 10 years. That's what I've done, is studied about why. And it's mostly the human condition. And I can use myself as my own, my own case study, going, why did I believe that? Where did that come from? And just some of these things. And it's been a great ride. And it's
like your own epistemological questioning of your own beliefs, right?
Right. And not afraid to do that because of the way I went through it. That's all I've ever done. And as painful as it was before, I'm like, nothing can be that bad. Right. Nothing's going to take me back down that road again, So yeah. And like I said, I've met some amazing people. That's just been,
yeah, me too. And getting to meet many of them in person when I was down there was unbelievable. And I'll be back for the next year's Faceless Forum, Mike. So this time we have to get.
We will.
We got to go do some fucking Texas barbecue, man.
Yeah. Hey, we'll play music. I'll put a jam. I'll put a jam
cool.
together for you. I played the band. That's why I moved to Austin in the first place in the early 90s.
Oh, yeah. Music
Mecca. Brought my band here and we played, and my brother still has a gigging band, and we'll put together a jam somewhere and just go play. You know?
Yeah, I can always pull up some lyrics and shit and get a couple of tunes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Sure.
Although one of the songs I really like playing a lot, and I do very well. However, I know it's been a while since the whole Katrina thing, but it's a song by a Canadian band called Tragically Hip. It's called New Orleans is Sinking.
I know the song. I know the song well. Yeah.
And every time I do that one at like a karaoke or something, or when we play it live, which we've done on occasion, standing ovation, dude. It's phenomenal to see that. Nice. I'm like, holy shit. Wow. Thanks, guys. You can sit down now and finish your beer.
Well, you should record it. Put it up on Twitter.
I never have. And you're like the 100,000th person to tell me to do that too. And I just never have for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think of it at the time because I'm up there and I'm doing it, and I'm usually doing it just to impress some chick or something, right? So it's like, that's the only thing going on because most of the blood switch. Well,
Yeah. I know. I remember being in a band in high school, and we were a heavy metal band. We played Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Queensryche, and it was funny because
I can't reach that kind of fucking notes.
I could then, I can't now. I could then, but not now. But the guitar player one time comes to me and he goes, come on, we both know why we're in this. We're just in this to get girls, and you know it.
You ever seen, my friend had a t-shirt, and it's a meme now where it's got all the members of the band, right? Yeah, like you got the singer, the lead guitarist, the bass player, and the drummer. And the singer's got like 3 girls on each arm. The lead guitarist has 2 girls on each arm. The drummer's got like 1 girl, and then his drumsticks in the other hand. And the bass player's sitting there holding his bass, like, what about me?
What's the matter with me? Who wants to be the bass player, right?
Yeah. I always poke it. Well, we don't have a bass player right now, but I used to poke fun at my old bass player, James. Are you familiar with many Canadian artists at all? Like Colin James.
The name is very familiar.
He does jazz and he does rock. And the reason it's funny is because my drummer's name is Colin, and my bass player's old name was James. Right, so we used to say, "Oh yeah, we've got the Colin James rhythm section." So that's why it was kind of fun.
We're all set. No, I mean, I think probably Canadian artists. I'd be stuck in the classic, like, what is it, Triumph?
All Toronto, Rush.
And Bieber.
Yeah, but how can you not know who that guy is? He's flashed out everywhere, right? So.
Right. But no, you shouldn't claim him, and nobody should claim him. But
no. I say he somehow just magically disappears.
Right. That's funny.
And Celine Dion's another one you can have too.
Oh, that's right. And there's a country artist.
Country artist. Oh, there's a few.
Yeah, but she was big a while back. I remember. I
wonder if it's the girl that I went to school with. Her name is Suzanne Geechee, and she was a big country artist.
Well, unless she changed her name.
No, I don't think so.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so not a lot, I guess, and it's funny because I have a lot of friends up in Canada that I've met on Twitter that are like, cool, and I'm like, I keep saying I got to get up there because I like to hike and I like outdoors.
Oh, you got to come to where I am then.
In what part of Canada?
I'm in Vancouver, and I've got all the fucking Rocky Mountains all over the place.
There you go.
And the Okanagan. You have to experience the Okanagan, buddy.
Well, I think then that needs to happen.
Yeah, and I got a place that we can stay too, because my birth father lives out there. So
okay. Yeah, it's pretty much. You guys have more wilderness than cities, basically, is what it looks like.
Yeah. It's all wilderness, and then right at the bottom you get Vancouver.
Right, then it's like, so other than that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of little stuff, but that's.
I want to hear about when we first started going. You were saying you were a believer, then you weren't, then you were a believer, then you weren't. So I kind of want to hear. Was it when you say you were a believer, then you weren't, then you were a believer? Were they two types of belief systems, or were they both basically the same? Or
I think in my younger life, it was more that it's just what everybody believes, and you go to church, and that's just kind of what it is. No thought in it, right? So that was the kind of the generic, just your socially driven belief system. Whatever your local culture is, right?
Sure.
And then, like I said, going into my high school, it was more just the rebellious of, being anti-God, kind of like that was cool, you know what I mean? Because I would listen to Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, so I had to.
Yes.
But that's the ironic part, because now that I say that, is I remember very specifically talking to one of my friends and whatever at the time, and it was like, didn't believe in God, but I was all happy that Black Sabbath was all into Satan. It's like, wait, can't have one without the other. Can you? Or no, I don't know. So I mean, but see, that's the lack of thought. There was literally no cohesive thought about it at all. Just whatever. And so, like I said, and then coming back was really coming out of my drinking, and that kind of like, and I think a lot of people, they talk about the religious experience of the life-changing moment, the car crash, the whatever. Mine was getting sober.
Wow. Well, so I can imagine. Sure.
That to me was just, it was this, it was a life-changing thing, because I honestly believe that I wouldn't be here if I didn't get sober. I'd be dead. I mean, I'm the kind of person who, if I wasn't unconscious, broke, I was still drinking. It didn't matter. There's no such thing as a beer. I mean, I was going to drink until I was unconscious every time.
Yikes.
And of course, as you spread around, you get into worse and worse stuff, and it turned into other drugs, and it turned into, I'd be in jail or I'd be dead either way. So it was a really life-changing experience for me for that to happen.
I've been pretty lucky myself, because I've basically been able to, my entire life, control my habits rather than have them control me.
Right. And I can't say I could do that at all. I have that personality that doesn't allow me to, to kind of moderate. So I mean, that was that next change. And as we stepped into that, and like I said, and it brought on that whole spiritual realm of searching for and wanting it to be, and like I said, just that was that in and out and in, back in again thing. And that lasted for almost 20 years, because I got sober when I was 25. That was December of 1989.
Wow.
And it was almost 20 years that I was rabidly into the, and I was not a rabid pew sitting, go out and proselytize.
Right.
Not that,
Have you heard the good word?
Right. No. But
89 was a good year for me. We had a huge house party. It was so big that bikers ended up there, and somebody threw a bunch of quarter sticks of dynamite into the what do you call it, the chimney, and blew it off the house. So we had to hold it onto the house with a couple of trees. Oh yeah, and our porch was blown up, and it was just crazy. We suddenly moved rather quickly from that place.
Suddenly, I don't know why we need to go. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had garbage. You know how you do those fruit ones where you fill something up with fruit and you put in like the vodka, the rum, and I think gin. We use those three, and then you just scoop out and you eat the fruit. And we had 3 garbage cans full of these things.
Oh,
yeah.
We had a place in Tucson that started. It was called EG's, and they made this frozen. It was a sandwich shop, but they made this frozen. I don't even know what you'd call it. It's kind of like a slushie that you'd get at somewhere, but
like a Bellini
anyway.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, but we would take that, and you could buy them by the drink, or you could go there and buy like 5-gallon buckets of them. Right. And so you could take it to your party. Well, you can imagine what They were great. You took that 5-gallon bucket and poured in, a couple of bottles of this or a couple bottle of that. And, Everclear was a very popular one to put into there. And, it turned into, which always made for quite colorful, quite colorful exit for the people who couldn't handle their drink, right? Because it was always strawberry or, I still shudder thinking about that stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, man. So that, I mean, like I said, that's kind of where the in and out kind of went for me. And there was again, never a specific thought about it. Like, other than there just had to be, and I still to this day don't know why it was so important to me for that to be true. It just was. It was this driving, had to be. Like I said, the music had something to do with it. I think maybe I was afraid that if there wasn't, then I would have to take credit for it, and then for the music, and then I wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe it would stop. And to be honest, that's kind of a funny thing. For me, my creativity did curtail a lot. Once I, yeah.
Kind of
because, well, I mean, from a really scientific kind of look at it, a biological look at it, going to church, having those, there's a chemical reaction that happens, right?
Yes, of course.
And those kind of stimulants are like that. It's just like being in love. Right. It's that same thing where you get this euphoria and this stuff, and that stimulates creativity. And so it's kind of funny. So I never really replaced that. Right. And so it's something that I do kind of miss, to where you had those. It's kind of interesting, kind of self-analyzing
like
myself. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. And then also being afraid to step off into that, because is it dangerous ground? Should I not do that? And
if you're unfamiliar.
Right. And it's like, is this going to lead me back into what? Drinking and belief and whatever else again? I don't know. And so it was it's interesting. I can still do it, and I go through phases, where that's where it comes around, but it's not as much as it was. Part of it is maybe getting older. I'm 54 now, and I think as you get older, you kind of lose some of that, youthful exuberance or whatever it is that drives you.
Yeah, I mean, I go on little spurts when I write, so but it doesn't happen the way it did. Definitely, right. I think my prime was in my late 20s through my late 30s. It was pretty much my prime for writing lyrics and music and stuff like that. And now I'm not far behind you. I'm 52. Right. So, I think as you age, I don't know if it's that you lose. It's kind of like you're focused on other things now, because it's a different part of your life too, right?
Sure. Yeah. I'm not gigging. Yeah.
So,
well, that's true, I guess.
So your focus shifts a little bit. So the creative juices tend to not flow as freely as they once did.
Right. So when you write stuff, do you does it just kind of come out in a burst?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 songs in a row.
Yeah, it's just bang, and everything just falls out. I mean, I'll write it. If I don't write a whole song or the whole lyrics within just a short, it's not going to get written. I've started some stuff that's probably still sitting over there with all my music stuff.
I got a bunch like that, man. I've got a chorus, but I haven't written verses for it, or
and then it just kind of goes away, and it's like, you look back fondly, like, maybe someday. So, So I don't know.
Oh, see, there's a fella in the chat that's older than us, so he's making us feel good about being younger than him. Thanks, Klaus.
I can't see it, so yeah.
He could be our Gandalf, I guess.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I think I'm at this point. I was talking to somebody just tonight, as a matter of fact, on Twitter, and it was just like, the arguing with this is getting kind of old.
You hear the same tropes over and over again.
Yeah, it used to be interesting, You know what I mean? And it was like, I like getting caught sometimes, like, oh, hey, wait a minute. I need to go, because it would give me impetus to go look something up, because I'm like, ooh, I don't know how to answer that. And I want to be able to, give a good answer to that and find out. And now you're right. It's just tedium, it's the same thing, and so I'm not sure what's gonna happen to my account. I know it's kind of funny because that's what people expect, right? When I tweet out stuff about atheism and I call out AIG or whatever and do that, it's like gets a ton of responses. It gets going. Yeah. I tweet something about some of the rest of stuff, and it's like, yeah, cool, yeah, whatever, dude, go there.
Yeah, it happens to me too.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, and I get it. That's what people.
A lot of people. Yeah, exactly, because they're expecting that kind of thing, and they'll still always respond or react to those kinds of tweets. But the day-to-day life stuff, or when I post like funny stuff, it doesn't get quite the attention.
Yeah, they're like, whatever, we don't care.
That was cute. Thanks. Next.
Right. Yeah.
So, Night Sassy. Thanks for checking this out.
So yeah, I mean, other than that, I think it's I said it's great fun and it's been interesting. We've had a couple of gatherings here. As a matter of fact, you said when you come down to Austin, I've met Skeptic George, Summer. There's several of them that we've all gotten together.
Cool. Well, we do it here too. I do it through Atheist Republic here in Vancouver, the Vancouver Consulate, because Armin actually lives here in Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's moving away for a few months, but he'll be back eventually. But,
okay.
So we always throw get-togethers all the time.
See, I'm so lazy. I've never even been down to ACA.
Really? Never?
Nope.
Well, you got to go check it out.
I've watched their YouTube channel all the time. I watched stuff, and I actually ran into. Wow! Look at me having an old man moment.
Eric
Matt
Murphy, Jamie Boone, Matt Dillahunty.
Yeah, I ran into Matt at a restaurant, and he left before I was going to buy him lunch. I went over and said hi to him and said, "Hey, man, cool, and I was going to buy him lunch, and he disappeared before I had a chance. And so it's like there's a lot of really good people in this town. Aaron Ra is here a lot. I mean, he doesn't live here. I think he lives in Dallas.
He does.
Yeah, but he's here. Dallas. Right, but he's here quite often, and there's a lot of people that are in this area that I could hook up with, and I'm like, I kind of have my little Twitter family and and live there,
Well, we're gonna drag your ass down there when I'm coming down there.
I will be there. I will.
Right. You can meet all these people.
Okay.
So Aaron and I actually, before I go down there, I'm going to have the T-shirts made for him and me, because when I posted a picture of the two of us standing outside of a restaurant out in Dallas, somebody says, "You guys look like Sons of Anarchy," and I made a joke saying, we're the Sons of Atheism," and they did that the logo, but it's Sons of Atheism. So I got to get that printed on your shirts.
Nice.
So wear them, right?
Nice. That would be awesome. Oh, that's funny. I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, I told him about it, and he's like, "I'd wear that." So yeah.
Yeah, I bet he would. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well.
We are closing in on the hour, so it's funny how you do these things and time just seems to kind of go by really quickly.
Yeah, it does.
However, you're not obligated to, but I usually do an after party, and if you'd like to hang out for a little bit longer with a couple of friends, because with this program in particular, the StreamYard, I can have up to 6 people in an after party rather than the 10, which I'll be honest, is less chaotic. Let's put it that way.
I've been in some of those when they, like I said, I did an after show that one time, and it was just like, geez, there was just too many people popping in and out. So yeah, sure, I'll hang out. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, and I'll go for about another hour or so, because I got a friend who came over. He's downstairs visiting another friend of mine, but he's in from out of town, so he's one of them Okanagan people. So he's down here, and he brought some beer from a craft brewery in his area that I have yet to try. So I really kind of want to do that.
There you go.
So
come on up and join the chat and bring you a beer.
Yeah, he won't do that.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't do that sort of thing. He's like, fuck that shit. I don't want people to know who I am. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll respect your privacy. That kind of thing. But I'll send you a new link because I have it already set up, and I'll just boot it up. Okay. And anyone who would like to join us, let me know on Twitter. Send me a message. I will post the link in my usual suspects group. And I'll tell you what, Mike, if there's room in the group, I can pop you in there and you can continue to hang out with some of these folks on a daily basis. Say hello. I recommend muting the shit out of it until you're ready to go in there and see what's going on. Because right. I'll go beep, beep, beep. Especially because Randolph's in there posting crap all the time. But anyways.
Okay.
I'll set it up, and then you guys, whoever would like to join us, just let me know, like I said earlier. And Mike is known as Mr. E Man on Twitter, and his Twitter handle is at, what is it again? Not buying this bullshit.
Not buying this BS.
Yes, mm-hmm. Yeah. So look for him and follow him because he makes some great stuff, or he posts some great stuff. You don't have a YouTube channel, do you?
I actually do, but it has nothing to do with this. I started doing a hiking channel, but it's a nothing channel, cool. So we'll just leave it alone.
All right. Well, if you're into hiking, you try and find his hiking channel. I don't have a link to that, but I do have a link to his Twitter down below. Cool. And I also have a link, and I'd like to say at the end of these things now, to my new PayPal Me account. So if you guys do like what I do and you kind of want to help me with my expenses and stuff and improving my content and my channel, feel free to make a donation. I won't say no because I just dropped a huge chunk of cash on a brand new system. So it should be a lot better. But anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Lucy, one of the people I added to the group's like, yeah, I muted it, but I do get to catch up once in a while. That's Lucy Furr. She's a friend of mine as well. I had her on the show a little while ago. Okay. But anyways, Mike, thanks so much for hanging out with me today, man.
Thank you, Neil. It's been an honor. Thank you.
I would say the same thing because we've sort of been bantering back and forth on Twitter for a while, but it's nice to actually talk to you face to face.
Yeah, you realize people are real, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Good. And
you realize I'm not it's the big dork that I seem to be on Twitter.
Oh, you're cool, man. You're cool. I love the music. I love the music stuff you post. So that's great.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Thank you.
Good. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. If you're into it, as I said, send me a message. And like I always say at the end of these things, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.